the OKC Thunder, who, Trevor, you want to talk about a plan. What does that actually look like for OKC? Because the one thing that we do know, they have acquired draft pick after draft pick after draft pick.
Yeah, it's been the theme. Sam Presti, GM for the Thunder, has acquired draft assets and put the team in a position to lose a lot of games. And that's been the plan. That's what he's wanted to do. And last season we saw it. So they lost a lot of games, put them in the position to get a high draft pick. And on top of that, they've acquired a lot of draft picks from trading away players like Paul George, trading away Russell Westbrook, the two notable ones. And so they're in a good position moving forward with a lot of draft capital. And what they are going into last season hoping to do was lose a lot of games. They accomplished that, and develop their players, which they accomplished that.
They did. Sorry, I didn't know if you wanted to keep talking. I was like, all right, I don't want to steal this time from Trev.
Take it.
They really did. And what's surprising about OKC is it feels like this is a team that's been tanking for the last 6, 7, 8 years. But really just 3 years ago, they were in the playoffs. In fact, they made 5 straight playoff appearances. Granted, 4 straight of those were first-round exits, but just before that was the infamous 3-1 blown lead to Golden State in the Western Conference Finals, which that goes down a whole different rabbit hole of, if they win one more in that series, where's OKC now? But that's beside the point. We're in the present. You mentioned they've built upon some talent, Lu Dort being one.
Yeah.
Of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being the other that I can think of.
And I would also add into that Josh Giddey. Their rookie last year performed so well. Played 54 games, averaged just under 13 points per game, was able to facilitate for them, averaged 6.5 assists per game, and then also rebounded, averaged 8 rebounds a game. So he's a guy that you look 4 years down the line, could be a triple-double threat every single night. One thing for him that really was not great was his shooting, his three-point shooting. He averaged 26% from deep, so something we need to see him grow on, which we've seen it done before. We've seen players that just have atrocious three-point numbers drastically improve on that. So that's something for Giddey I would circle for this upcoming season. But yeah, a player that they developed last season, Lu Dort, we saw take big steps, which we'll talk about here in a minute because they re-signed him. And then Shai, obviously, he was hurt for part of the season, but again, continued to shine as a player that is their franchise cornerstone.
He is, and I think that is the biggest thing in a rebuild. Who are you building this team around? And I think OKC has 2 guys they can potentially build around, and that's, of course, Gilgeous-Alexander and the newly acquired Chet Holmgren, who, Trevor, I know you are very high on. You're a big Chet guy. He goes to OKC, and now the Thunder kind of have some building pieces to work with in this rebuild.
Yeah, man. I mean, Chet, in my opinion, even before the draft, he's the guy that has the highest potential ceiling. The guy that is the absolute unicorn of the draft, 7-footer who can handle the rock like he does, shoot the ball like he does, and defensively his length just provides so much on that end, especially help defense. He's going to come over and just block a ton of shots, even in the NBA. So really excited to see what he can do. In Summer League, he showed out. I mean, obviously that first game was crazy. You couldn't go onto any Twitter, Instagram, everything was Chet highlights. And so in Summer League, 14 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, 2 steals, and just under 3 blocks. So defensively, I think is what I'm really excited about for him is just he's not going to have to guard the biggest guy on the team. I would slot him up against the 4 of every team. And yeah, there's going to be some 4s that muscle him for sure. And if a big guy switches onto him, it's going to be tough for Chet. And that's something that he needs to fill out his frame. But with that said, as I mentioned before, defensively, his lateral quickness is there. He can move and get steals and be in the passing lanes with his length, and as well as in the passing lanes and on the ball defense. I think his off the ball defense is huge with being there for the help side coverage. When someone attacks, beats their defender, Chet's going to be there, and we saw that in summer league. He had some massive games at his first one, like I mentioned, 6 blocks.
Yeah, he was blocking everything out of the gymnasium. I think off-ball defense is where he will thrive, especially in this first season. You mentioned filling out the frame, and that seems to always be a talking point for Chet, just because he's so much taller that it's going to take a little bit of time to put a little meat on his body, essentially. On the ball defense, there's about 8 or 9 teams in the West. I think he's going to be fine. There's just a couple of teams where I just think when he goes up against Minnesota, that's scary if you're OKC, just because is he going to guard Cat or is he going to guard Rudy Gobert?
Yeah, that meme of Cat trying to back into DeMarcus Cousins and
Yes.
DeMarcus is just standing there like that. It's going to flip where Cat's standing there and Chet's trying to back in, because it's going to be tough for him. It's going to be really tough. But again, that's where, the team can work with lineups, things like that in his first season to kind of protect him from that. The defensive end is going to be tough. Offensively, I think that bodes him well. He moves well. He can handle the rock.
He can shoot.
He could shoot, man. And he showed some flashes of, oh my gosh, am I watching Kevin Durant? He showed flashes offensively of, oh my gosh, am I watching KD out there? Obviously, do I think he's going to be Kevin Durant? I want everyone to hear this. No.
Oh, wow.
You thought I was going to say
I was worried. My heart stopped for a second.
Yeah, no. But he showed flashes of being a guy with that length that can shoot off the dribble, which is what I mean by when I compare him to Kevin Durant, is that off the dribble shooting at his size, you do not see. And with Chet, I think that he brings that. So that's something to look forward to. He has a lot to develop, but I think he's in the perfect organization for that.
Yeah, I do too. I think this is the perfect time for Chet because it's not a win now situation or scenario. This is a time to develop, and Chet now is probably given this window of plenty of time to develop, get comfortable into an NBA system, and really being told, hey, we believe sky's the limit. Now go out there and prove it. Let's talk about the other building piece. We mentioned him briefly, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, because he hasn't shown flashes. He kind of is the flash, where he has improved year after year. Andy, I know you've got stats on us. What can you tell us a little bit more about Gilgeous-Alexander?
Yeah, last year he played 56 games. He averaged 24.5 points, 5 rebounds, and about 6 assists, shooting 45% from the field and 30% from 3, 81% from the free throw. So he had a pretty good year.
Yeah, really good year for him. Again, he needs to develop. Kind of same story with Giddey. Showed a lot, but you need to have that three-point shot. Only 30%. That's below average in the NBA. I love what I'm seeing, though. He's asserted himself as the go-to guy offensively, and it's looked really good for them. And he's a guy that plays both sides of the ball, again.
Yes, he does. What I want to see from him, though, that 24 kind of needs to go up to a 27, 28 points per game.
Which he can do.
But that's if you are serious about building this team around him, because in the NBA, you need a guy who can do that every night. All the top teams have a guy like that, and if he wants to be that guy, he needs to go to 27, 28.
And Thunder fans do believe he's that guy. Beat writers believe he is that guy. So let's see it. Let's see it next season. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander needs to step up and take that, that promising, he's got a bright future, into this guy is an all-star this season. Is at least in the conversation. I think he was last year, but let's make sure that he can do that. That's what I'm looking out for him. Is I want to see him as an all-star.
I totally agree, and it would kind of fill that trajectory that we've seen from him. He's improved on his scoring totals every single season since he's been in the NBA.
Hey, thanks for watching. Before you leave, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're the only NBA show focused on covering your favorite small market teams. Find us on all social media platforms at Small Ball Podcast.